Hello everyone, it's the Canadian Futures Trader here. Welcome to the channel and welcome to the video.
Gotta get more followers.
Guys, today's video, my intention is to record for 1 hour, give or take, and just watch the treasuries, maybe take some trades, maybe not take a lot of trades, kind of explain what I'm looking at, what I'm doing, when I get in a trade, you know, what got me into the trade, what I'm looking for to get out of the trade, etc. So it's kind of live stream feel, but without the live stream. You might be saying, why not just live stream it? I get quite distracted with the chat, and I was kind of wanting to do this, and I have a ton of questions I wanted to address, just people have sent either comments on videos or emails or in chat rooms and whatever else. So I figured I could take this hour to answer questions and in between take some trades. So this video is going to be all over the place. I'm going to warn you right now. So sit back and enjoy the ride. If I do take any trades, I'll put timestamps down below. So if you're just here for trades, timestamps down below, but I'm not going to timestamp every little discussion point because I do think it'll probably end up being all over the place. So just to give some reference, it's about 9:15 in the morning. So Treasuries open at 8:20 a.m. But the U.S., the equities market opens in about 15 minutes. So usually we see some activity, a little bit more flurry of activity right when the U.S. Equities open as well. So what you're looking at, if you are new to my channel, software I use is Jigsaw Day Trader. It is primarily a depth of market platform. They do have some charting abilities, but it's not, it's really, if you're into chart trading, it's not what you're looking for. It really is mainly a depth of market platform. It does a nice detailed breakout. I'll walk you through what all the columns are. So I trade the Treasury bonds. Basically, you're seeing three things in general. You're seeing the Ultra bond here on the right. You're seeing the 10 years in the middle, and you're seeing the 30 years off on the left. Within the Ultra bond, I have the ticker tape here. I have it filtered, so I don't see any trades for one or two lots, just to clean it up a little bit. Otherwise, it moves even faster, and I'd rather see what the bigger ones are doing. Here you have the depth of market, so this will apply to these as well. You obviously have the price here in the gray column, current price. Off to the left, you have a histogram kind of how many contracts have traded at each price level, so you get a sense of where the volume is. What else? So the inner green column and the inner purple column are what you would normally see on a depth of market. So when you usually look at like a basic depth of market, it's price, it's limit orders on the buy side, limit orders on the sell side. So that would be that column, this one, and then this one. Off on the outer green and the outer purple are contracts being added and removed to the limit order. So it's just kind of a visual cue. I mean, this is kind of bouncing all over the place right now. It's a little bit more useful on something like the 10 years here in the middle. You have bigger numbers, you have more volume. So you really get a sense of when, maybe sellers are piling on, you're seeing all positive, and you're seeing buyers pull away. It's just kind of a visual cue. So aside from looking at the absolute numbers that are on the books, you can actually see the change. The inner kind of black columns are the actual contracts being traded at each price, and it clears out if there's activity and it moves away and comes back, it'll clear out and be the new activity. So it just gives you a sense of if, buyers are coming up and hitting the sellers, or if sellers are coming down and hitting the buyers. And that kind of sums it up. So as to what you're looking at. So I haven't taken any trades. Try to stop my rambling once in a while and see if there's anything. So right now, treasuries are all three kind of sitting right at kind of the high of where they've traded so far today. So this is the U.S. session. It resets when the U.S. session opens. So it was pushing the high, kind of came down a bit. I'll get more into what I look at specifically in a bit. I kind of want to focus more on just some higher level, I guess, stuff about Jigsaw and whatnot. I'm sorry, I know this video is going to be like kind of pauses and me thinking and looking at stuff. So, okay, one question that I did receive was, somebody had saw, seen this and they're like, okay, what time frame is that? Well, it's not, you kind of need to get away a little bit from the chart trading mentality when it comes to this sort of order flow stuff. In two aspects mainly, I would say. One, there's no like 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute. This is just what is happening right now. It's instant. These are the actual limit orders. Think of this as like the drilled down version of what you're seeing on the chart. Like this is actually what is happening second by second. So there's no real time frame. If you want a number, it's literally second by second. It's instantaneous what's happening right now. I forget already what the other question was. Oh, the other reason you need to kind of ditch the chart trader kind of mentality if you strictly go depth of market. I know a lot of people use depth of market and charts. I mean, there's a million different ways to trade. The other question I get, what indicators to use? So there's no indicators either. This is just reading order flow, and again, I'll get more into this, but reading the order flow and the relationship between the different products. Like there's no RSI, sorry guys, there's no MACD crossovers, EMAs. I will be honest, and I'm going to warn you, I will once in a while take a cheap shot at like all the different indicators and whatnot. I trade this way based on exactly what I'm seeing happening right now. When you're using all the indicators, they're all based on kind of what has happened. And I know people argue, oh, but you can make predictions based on this. I don't care. And at the end of the day, there's a million different well, it's not a million different products. There's a lot of different products. There's a million different trading styles, a million different, methodologies you can use. Everybody should find what works best for them. This works best for me. I'm not trying to convert anyone to the bonds. I'm not trying to convert anyone to trading off the depth market. I'm just explaining what I do in case you're interested or it did capture your fancy. Another question I get is why, why the bonds and why the depth of market. The bonds specifically. So I would say it's one of those things where it just kind of, it clicked. It seemed right. So I was trying trading like crude oil and stuff when I first started. I did the usual stuff. I did the chart trading stuff. I tried the different indicators, all that. Wasn't really buying into it because, one time it works and one time it doesn't. And, I know you can set your risk rewards and all that stuff, of course, but it just seemed a little bit like hocus pocus. And it seemed like every single person swears by what they do. But, you can have, I swear I could give 10 people the exact same chart or a same like video of 10-minute time frame and be like, okay, tell me what you would have done, and I would get like 10 different answers. So, and that's fine. But nonetheless, back to away from my little rant. The bonds just clicked. I liked the high per tick value. So the Ultra Bond, each tick per contract is $31.25. Same for the 30 years. The 10 years traded half of that. They traded half of that value. So I use round numbers. I just usually say this trades at like 30, this at 15. It just, throw in commissions and that's about right. It just makes it a little bit easier. So $30 a tick, $15 a tick on the 10 years. But that's a high value compared to some other products. It's also, the Treasuries lend themselves very well to trading using depth of market and order flow. Other products, not so much. Like, and trading NQ on this would be like, I've looked at it before. There's you're not going to be able to read it because the kind of the art in this is looking at the numbers and the relationships and the changes in them. If you put NQ on here and it's just spiking up and down, there's nothing to be read here. You are far better off trading off a chart, using something like NQ as your product. So, why I trade the Treasuries? I like the pace. Like I can come in here and trade bigger size and know that, this isn't going to go fly off the handle and move 100 ticks. Like it's just not. Unless some news event comes out or whatever. But on a normal day, it just kind of hovers around. And that's the thing. I'd rather go bigger number of contracts, grab a few ticks. I'm already getting the big per tick value. And there you go. It just speaks to me. Like I said as well. So another comment I think I saw was, like, how do you read this? Like, this looks overwhelming. Believe me, when I first saw like this, I was like, I have no idea what the hell is going on here. You just kind of have to figure it out. But I will say, it's not like I'm looking at this entire column and this entire column. you're really just focused on this very middle area. You know, you could, in theory, I'll just do this and let me center it. You could do something like this and then just focus. This is really all I'm looking at, and probably not even that much. It's more like, you know, just like the immediate, you know, 3-4 price levels up or down. Now I like to keep it up, obviously, I like to see the full range of where it's been, all of that, and I want to see where it is relative to the other ones. And if it did spike, it would move off the screen and stuff. So this makes more sense. But point being is you can really just focus on this middle kind of area here, middle area here, and just scan across and see what's happening. So it really, and once you get like Jigsaw itself, I mean, any software it's customizable. Like I have these columns in a specific order on purpose. Like I like this layout. Someone else might not like, you know, these outer columns. They don't find them useful. Great, get rid of them. You know, you like the price in the middle, you know, do that. So very customizable. And this isn't like a Jigsaw sales pitch. I'm just saying like this is why I use it. And know that it is a very specific setup to how I like it. I've been using this layout for a long time. So let me think. What other questions do I get? Guys, I know we haven't taken a trade yet. This is part of why I shy away from live streaming. I get very much caught up in either reading comments or then explaining stuff, and I'm not, you know, I can't think about taking a trade while I'm in the middle of talking about the layout of Jigsaw and stuff. You know, I just like to focus, I guess. So let me, on my other screen here, real quick, if I can get it to pop up. Here we go. Let me see some of those other questions people asked. Hang on. You guys can enjoy Jigsaw while I do that. Someone asked, like, what session do I trade? I trade the U.S. morning session. So bonds open at 8:20 a.m. Eastern. I usually, you know, get on about 8 a.m. just to see what's happening beforehand. Do I trade the specific open? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It just depends. I wouldn't say I go out of my way to trade it. If anything, I probably lean a little bit more towards see what happens first and then maybe trade. And yeah, I usually cut it at noon. Reason being is when I first started trading, I get the enthusiasm and I get the excitement, and believe me, I like trading as much as anyone. But what I found was it's very addictive. If you have an addictive personality, you can easily get, you know, latch onto trading. I was trading the entire evening session, get up in the morning, start trading. Things slow down at lunchtime, but then get back in it for the afternoon. And it starts to overwhelm your day, and I do have other stuff to do. As well, just looking at my stats, I perform the best in the morning. I would say in general, again, these are all generalities, but the most action, the best action happens in the morning, U.S. morning session. So I kind of said, you know what, let me just try trading only in the morning, see if it helps my stats and just helps me like free up some of my day. And it did. Like, it worked out really well, and then it just kind of becomes second nature. Like, I typically, the other night I live streamed in the evening, didn't even take one trade, but normally I would not even like be looking at the market. Like, I don't care what it's doing when I'm not looking at it, or when I'm, you know, not actively trading. So I trade the mornings only, basically. Once in a while, you know, again, nothing is set in stone. Like, yes, I might trade in the afternoon, but very slim, like not often anymore. The other question I got a couple times was, you know, are you a full-time trader? I mean, I say yes, but I say that hesitantly because, I mean, I'm a full-time trader in the sense that, yes, this is primarily what I do, but I do have a lot of other, I wouldn't say a lot of other, but I have other things I'm involved in. You know, before this, I was in consulting. I still have consulting clients. Does not demand a lot of my time. They're really just kind of legacy clients that, like, you know, once in a while they have a question, and, you know, I'm still, you know, I'm happy to answer it for them, or a little project or something, but it's not my focus, the consulting. And I have a few other businesses that I'm involved in as well, which are for the most part pretty passive, but, you know, I do spend some time on them. You can't just completely ignore stuff. So yes, trading is my main, you know, I don't even want to use the J word, job. I don't consider it a job, you know. I mean, But yes, my main source of income, if you want to put it that way. But like I said, I trade 4 hours a day, and I usually don't trade Fridays either. So 4 hours a day, 4 days a week. Not to say I don't do anything trading related other times. I do a lot of study and analysis on my stats. I do read books. I go on the trading forums. I go on the couple of the discords and interact, and so I'm doing other trading related stuff that isn't necessarily trading. If that should make sense. So yes. Okay, let's see here. While I was talking, I was kind of watching. We're still hanging out here at the top of the day. But we really haven't, we kind of came down and came back up. And I know my analysis isn't very technical, but if you haven't figured it out yet, I don't really buy into the whole thing where people are calling out like, oh, XYZ is at the 5-year low and resistance should be here. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not even, that's all chart trader talk, not interested. Trading the order flow, what I see here. So, if anything, since they're kind of hanging out here, but they're not really like banging this up, I would like to see, okay, let's get to this chart. Let's talk about this chart for a little bit. Here's what I would like to see for me to consider possibly some trades. I would like to see the 10 years put on more contracts, like pushing it up. And a similar thing here. I want to see that there's some breakthrough. These are going to disappear. I can almost guarantee you. The 183, the 112, those are almost guaranteed to be spoof orders. The second this pops up, like, you are not going to see 176 contracts trade here 90% of the time. Again, never say never, but these are just algos trying to push things around, basically play with each other. So I don't consider this like an actual, like, oh wow, they're really going to get stuck at this price. No, they're not. If they push through, they're going to push through it. You've got the 10 years going up. I'd be interested. I'm going to trade a 5 lot. Just that's typically what I trade. So, and guys, this really is. I know sometimes you might be thinking, okay, like, tell me exactly what do I do. I can't. It's really you. It's one of those things that you have to take a liking to, you have to enjoy it, and you have to then practice and see what works and what doesn't work for you. I can't tell you when you see this number and this number, do this. It just doesn't work that way. It really, really is more of an art, in my opinion. I do want to see here if there's any trade possibilities. Then I wanted to talk a little bit about stats, because I mentioned I spend some time looking at my stats. So I want to talk about how I do that and why it's important, in my opinion. See, this is one area where, like, I'm tempted to get in, but I'm not seeing enough of a reason to get in that I'd rather just wait. So that is one thing that came with time. Like, I'm not an action trader. I quite literally, and that's another question actually I was asked. How many trades do you take a day? It quite literally could be none. I would say up to 5. Not to say there aren't 6, 7, 8 days, but yeah, there's, I take very few trades. I would rather wait for, like, I don't want to call it the perfect setup, but something that really, really, like, grabs my attention, looks strong. This is a good example right there. I was looking at it and thinking, you know what, we might see a push up, but it's not quite pushing up, so gonna wait. Oh, there it goes now, of course, as I say that. And it would have fallen off. And usually I cut losers at about 2-3 ticks. So there you go. I mentioned there was that 200 and whatever, 210 contracts. Now 48. Actually, I think it was at this price level even. I'm pretty sure it was at 21. And yeah, they disappeared. So when you see big numbers, so that kind of leads to like a spoofing discussion, but it really is just algos like trying to, trick the other algos into doing something so they can get a better entry. So yeah, when you see big numbers like this, you can almost just ignore it. Like, if it doesn't line up with this, and they have a lot more fun with this on something like the Ultra Bond than on these thicker order books. Like, it would be really hard to like do that on the 10 years, or harder, I should say. And what you're not seeing over here is a lot of like big numbers coming and big numbers going. Like, no, it's pretty consistent. So if you're scared of the algos, you can go with one of the slower moving treasuries. So guys, in one, I know, again, I'm all over the place, but I mentioned some of my videos that the treasuries tend to trade kind of lockstep. And you're seeing that right here, right? All three of these products are kind of at their highs of the day. And, when this one goes down, this one goes down, this one goes down. So one of the big setups I look for, I call it the catch-up or whatever, is when one of these gets out of whack. Say the Ultra Bond was down here and these other two were up here, then there's some opportunity because, in time, they're going to, get back in sync. So Um, so I'm not going to take a trade right now because it's pretty frantic. Part of it is the U.S. market just opened. I should have completely mentioned that. I didn't mention it at all. So the U.S. equities market opened, I should say. It's 9:32 now. So all that little flurry of activity was related to kind of equities market opening. As far as statistics, so there's lots of journaling software out there, and don't get scared by the term journaling. It's not like keeping a journal like you're in high school. It can be, and you can keep notes on each trade. But I use journaling software much more for the statistical part. Like I really don't take notes on each trade. I look at my overall statistics. At some point, I will put together a little summary of that. It's not something that I actively think of doing even, but yeah, I look at them, and so I like Jigsaw so much, I use their software, which is Journalytics. I like it too because it ties in. It just automatically pulls every single trade. I have it linked up to here. So I don't have to do anything. It's just pulling all my trading data. Other trading software, I used to use TraderView, it's VUE. I think that's what it's called. You have to download your trades each day and upload them, which is fine. It's not like it's a big deal, but it's just that extra step. And if you forget a day, and no big deal, you can always catch up and all that. I just like the Journalytics look and feel a bit better as well. It's a little bit more just nice, slick, lots of little graphs and charts and numbers and stuff. Whereas TraderView just looks a little bit dated, I guess I would say, but very powerful. They both are powerful, and there's lots of other ones as well out there. Edgewonk, I forget the names of some of the other ones, but I use Journalytics. What I try to do is focus in and compare things month to month, year to year, and see, okay, what's getting better, what's getting worse, what products am I having the most success with, what time frames. One thing I really keep an eye on is MAE and MFE. There was some discussion just today I saw in the Earn to Trade Discord about this. I think as well in the Treasuries Futures Trading Group, which I just joined. I think I saw this discussion. I mainly focus on MAE, which is Maximum Adverse Excursion. It is basically when you enter a trade, how far do you let it, how far does it go against you on average? And you want to keep that number low, or at least in theory you should be. So, for example, let's say you did one trade, and I can only reference the treasuries because I don't really know the numbers for NQ or ES or all that stuff. Let's say I entered a treasury trade, it went 10 ticks against me, and then it came up and I got out for a 2-tick winner. Well, that is still a 10-tick MAE. It went against me 10 ticks before I got out. And over time, you accumulate your stats. So you could be a winning trader, but if you have some huge obnoxious MAE, you're letting trades get way too far against you. And chances are, if you're letting yourself do that, you're not a winning trade. All those MAEs are gonna, there's gonna be a lot of losers in there. So my goal is to keep that number pretty slow. That kind of leads to people asking, what sort of stop loss to use and stuff. I personally, I'm 2-3 ticks and I'm out. If I'm wrong, then just get out. There's always another trade. So I keep that ME pretty low. At one point it was over 3. It was 3.2 or something. But I actively worked on getting out, and it hurts sometimes. You have to kind of change how you trade. You have, when it's 2 ticks against you and you're thinking, oh, if I just wait, maybe it'll come back. No, you have to actively make the decision. So if I get out and keep that ME number low, and then at the same time, you can focus on that MFE, so maximum favorable excursion. I think I'm using the right terms. If not, you get the idea. That's how far trades are going in your favor. Essentially, I know I'm kind of like, this is like high level. I'm not like explaining all the statistics and how it works, but um, yeah, like maybe you're cutting your winners too short. Like I'm taking profit after 3 ticks and I should be like letting them run 4 or 5, stuff like that. So work on that a bit more, but really focus on the downside. Was where most of my effort has been. And I still do, but I think I have it down. Like I get out. The great shy girl, Tracy, what is her last name? She's a crude oil trader. She's on Twitter. She's like a pretty well-known personality in the futures world of crude oil. Tracy Shugart. I've heard of like several interviews of hers, but one saying I remember hearing it like years ago. She was interviewed on Chat with Traders podcast, which is also a great resource you should check out. But she saying is like, you're either right or you're right out. So, and I live by that. It's like, you enter a trade for a specific reason. You're right, meaning it goes your way and it does what you thought it would do, or you're right out. Like, just get out if it's like going against you. It's wrong. You were wrong, so be right or right out. All right, guys, so we still haven't taken any trades. I warned you up front. Might not, the trades, who knows? I will timestamp them below if there is any. So we've been at it for like a half hour now. I'm trying to think if there's any other questions I wanted to answer while I have you hostage watching me do nothing, but you're watching the Treasuries. One question, so I know I haven't talked whatsoever about the different online, prop firms and stuff. And I mean, somewhat by design, because I know that's what I mainly talk about. So I'm trying to answer like all the other questions about trading. Like I'm trying to get back to more like trading content stuff, like a nice balance. Like it's not like I'm not going to put up the deals and stuff. I mean, speaking of way back when I was talking about my schedule, like running, the CFT in quotes, Canadian Futures Trader, takes some time, keeping the site up to date, want to stay on top of the deals, working on courses, all those things. That takes a bit of time as well. But I'm happy to do so because I really enjoy it. So I know there's really no like trader evaluation talk in this video, and I'll get some in maybe later or just in another video. But like I said, mainly want to answer the questions. So getting back to questions, people often ask, and I still see it, about using like trading on their phone or like a tablet or like whatever. So NinjaTrader itself does not have like a mobile app, but NinjaTrader acquired Tradeovate months ago, so I fully expect that in time, quite possibly this year, we'll see like a mobile version of NinjaTrader, which will just basically be Tradeovate that they'll white label or whatever, they'll do something with. That said, I've heard more and more firms are like offering different software. Like the classic way so far with all the trader evaluation companies has been like you get a free copy of NinjaTrader during your evaluation. But I'm hearing more of like these newer, like one company offers Jigsaw as an option. One company now offers Tradeovate and one of the other trading softwares. I can't quite remember what it was. So there will be options out there, but actually that wasn't the original point I wanted to make. The original point I was going to make is what I use is Ninja Mobile Trader, which is essentially just a VPS. It's you log into a remote computer. So at first I didn't see a need for it, but after I used it, I realized how awesome it is. And the reason is because I have 2 different computers that I trade on. And so I had Jigsaw and NinjaTrader and all that stuff set up on both of them. I had different Ninja licenses, all these things. But if you make like a bunch of changes to your debt, like I'm constantly changing, the layout, or I tinker with something, but it will only be on that computer, not on the other. Using the remote thing, so what you're looking at is like I'm logged in remotely through Ninja Mobile Trader. And so if I do something here, this will be the exact same desktop I log into on my laptop, for example. So I really like it. It has other benefits. And yeah, you could use something like this on a phone, etc. That was kind of like where I was originally going with all that talk. Not that I really think you should be trading from your phone, but I know just out of like, it's, I don't know. Personally, not my cup of tea. You know what? You guys do whatever you like. If you want to trade from your phone, trade from your phone. So Getting back to this real quick. So when it was up here, I was contemplating along, and I didn't because there didn't seem to be enough evidence that it was going to push through. And here we are, many ticks down. So say I had gone long. I remember it was like here somewhere, and then it broke through that 21. So it did kind of break through. Actually, I'll give it that. Um, but now it's pulled all the way back. But say I'd gone long and hadn't taken a profit and it just came right against me. This would be like that 10 tick MAE. Like if I get in at 19 and it's down here at 09, and then say it comes back up and I get out wherever, my MAE on this would have been like 10 ticks, which is not a good number for the treasuries. So, but to circle back to that journaling stuff, it costs money. Like there's no free journals out there that I know of. Actually, I take that back. Swisset has a free version. It's swiset.com. And I think it does a pretty good job. It's only for NinjaTrader last I checked. I honestly haven't kept up with them. Um, but all the other ones, you pay like, I don't know, $30 a month, $20 a month. I usually just pay for an annual license, so I don't have to like think about it month to month. But yeah, so it costs money. But I mean, there's so much. If you are willing to put in the effort to actually like use the information that it provides you, looking at your statistics, and it's not just MAE, MFE, like all the other things I mentioned, see what products you're most profitable at, see what time frame, time of day you're best at, whatever it might be. And you can compare month to month. I mean, obviously, you can do whatever you want with it. But yeah, like if you pick something you want to work on, then you can look and see, okay, did I actually get better at this, one thing I was looking to work on. All right, guys, let's take a look at this real quick, see if there's anything to be had here. So, getting back to how I trade, again, all over the place here. You're long for this roller coaster ride. I typically trade the Ultra Bond, but I make decisions based on the 10 or the 30s. Lately, I've been using more of the 10 years. So I'm looking for a reason to enter here, but I'm probably going to enter over here if that makes sense. And the reason is I like the movement in the Ultra Bond a bit better, but I also know that all three products, or well, including the other treasuries, which I don't have up here, do move kind of lockstep. So if I have a reason that, maybe, let's say I'm looking to go long here for whatever reason, I see, some, buyers, laying on the pressure, sellers seem to be easing up. Maybe I'm looking for a reason to go long. I'm more likely to go long over here in the Ultra Bond because if it does spike up a tick or two, I'm going to get more travel on the Ultra Bond if they do continue to move lockstep. So, but not to say that I don't sometimes just make decisions based on what I see in the Ultra Bond, So, this is actually a good point. So a lot of questions I get, I've like answered before, and I don't expect everyone to stay on top of everything I do. But people ask what are you looking for when you trade, etc. On my website, and I will do this just to show this here. Hang on, let me move this window over. On my website, under free futures course, I have a bunch of information about futures trading, spoofing, etc. If you go to my playbook, I recorded videos. So these are on my YouTube channel as well. But it might just be easier to like find them. There's probably I'm thinking I probably made a playlist as well. If you look at my playlist, it has all the things I'm looking for in these videos. So that is a fantastic way to get a better handle on what I'm doing. And I only talk about trading in those videos, obviously. So rather than me try to explain, like that's the thing too. Like I kind of stopped answering emails on purpose, and I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, what a jerk." But it's like I can't like answer each individual person. Like what are you looking for to take a trade? If I do that one-on-one with each person, I would seriously sit there all week just answering emails. It's much easier to like make a video, be like, "Here you go. If you want to know, watch the video." So I'm just waiting to see here if anything catches my fancy. another question, again, I'm just kind of answering questions that come to mind that people have asked. Because I have a decent amount. So, well, a couple questions. One, people ask, are you going to try out with XYZ, some new trader firm that showed up? Probably not. Whatever one it might be. Reason being is I have enough accounts already, and I'm happy with the ones that I'm with. I didn't start this Canadian Futures Trader, CFT, to be a review channel and try to stay on top of and review each and every firm. It was much more, here's the ones I'm with, here's what I think of them, good and bad. Hopefully this helps somebody. Obviously kind of took off a bit, and then just in doing a lot of them and passing, people want, information about them or about other ones. But I'm probably not going to be taking evaluations. I'm not 100% saying I never would, but I really have no plans to take evaluations with any of the newer firms that are popping up. I have enough to trade. That kind of leads into when I was originally going to start talking about, people asked, how do you trade, all these accounts? So a few things with that. People ask, like, can you link them all up and trade them at the same time? And the answer there is not really, because they're all pretty much Rhythmic based, and you can only log into the one Rhythmic account in NinjaTrader. I can only do one at a time, but I'm kind of fine. And there are ways you can use other software. You can use different computers and use a trade copier over a network, etc. So there are ways to do it. I just don't bother. I quite literally just choose an account. I'm like, all right, today I'll trade whatever, my Apex account, and maybe I hit a nice trade. I'm like, all right, that's good for today, and I'll trade whatever, LeeLoo account. I just kind of rotate through them, make sure, I keep them all active and all that type of stuff, but it's not a problem to do that. You get to a point where, so a lot of people comment on things like LeeLoo or Apex, both specifically, and some of the other, withdrawal schedule, like the first, 3 months, 4 months, you're capped on your withdrawals, and that sucks, and I agree. But the thing is, once you get past those, I think people need to think a little bit more long term, is the kind of the main point I want to make. Like, people are so focused on like passing and getting paid their first payment. Like, think a little bit, think 6 months, a year, 3 years out. Like, if you actually want to trade long term, once you get past those hurdles of the first few months and the payout schedule and whatever, like, it's open season, then you're just in the clear. And that's, kind of where I'm at. And none of this is bragging, by the way. I'm just saying, like, you get to the point where it doesn't matter anymore what those kind of original things were. You build up your buffer, etc. So in terms of, going back to, I just kind of, trade whatever account strikes my fancy that day. Or, I'll sometimes have a reason, maybe payout cutoff day is coming up for Apex. So I'm like, okay, let me try to get it to XYZ amount, and so I can withdraw a nice even number, whatever. So I might like kind of tailor what I choose. And then I do trade my own account. It is very, I wouldn't say it's very different, but there's kind of that instant reward of like trading your own money as well. So, as far as like trade copiers I touched on, I haven't been using Replicano as much lately, just because like I have individual accounts at each of the companies, and like I said, I can't log into all of them at the same time. But I know a lot of people do sign up for like 10, 20, whatever, Apex, LeeLoo, whatever accounts. Replicano works fantastic. And I know recently I need to get up to speed on what they've been doing. I know they introduced, like, you can use it directly in Jigsaw and some other softwares as well. I know they've been putting out updates, so I need to circle back to it and kind of where they're at. So as far as the Treasuries here, we took a nice drive down here, and now we're getting back up. But notice in this entire time I've been talking, about 45 minutes now, like, we went from here down to somewhere here. It's really just stayed in this range. So one thing I wouldn't want to be doing is jumping in around here. I'd either be looking to go long here if I think it's going to push the highs, or go short here if I think it's going to pull back into kind of this middle range. Again, I'm not trading exclusively off the volume or anything like that. I'm just like a high level. It's kind of like take all the pieces of the puzzle and put them together type of thing. I wouldn't make a trade just because it's up here, but it's worth factoring into your decision type of thing. What I'm really curious is if the 30 years and the 10 years here continue a nice little push up. Because if they do, I full well could see. So what I have set up on Jigsaw, it's kind of off the screen, is you can set up strategies, which are the same as ATM and NinjaTrader, same as bracket orders and other software, where you can set an automatic take profit, stop loss, both. You can set your stop trail, you can do all kinds of stuff. So when you enter a trade, it automatically puts on whatever, say a stop loss and a take profit. Sometimes useful, especially in the trade, like when you get these spikes, because it'll like, as soon as I enter the trade, it'll automatically put on little, whatever it is I want, the stop or the take profit. And I say that because right now I have my thing set to a 2-tick win. I think I'm going to take that off because I expect if it can break up here, it's going to break in my favor. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and try to get in right here. Another thing, guys, we'll see what this gets filled at. Or if it gets filled, I should say. I recommend you don't chase trades. So if I don't get filled here and this starts taking off on me, I'm not going to keep clicking up like, oh no, like don't go, I want to get in. Like, no, like I want to take this trade right here before it breaks up. If it breaks up, I'm not going to try to enter it up here because most likely what's going to happen, I mean, it might still continue or it might just fall right back down and now I'm in a loser. So I need some contracts to trade right here. I'm in Q position 1. Like I quite literally need just something to trade here and it'll fill me. But right now everything is hanging out right here. But I'm kind of okay. Like I'm okay if this takes off and I don't get filled. Okay, there we got filled. So I'm gonna set a stop down here, even though I know it's 4 and like half hour ago I said maximum 2. I manage my stops. I will say I like to just get a stop on in case like this just ridiculously charged down, which it typically won't, but occasionally you get those spikes. But I will manage my stop. And I have Jigsaw set, so I can just click on the price and it'll move my stop. So I'm going to put take profit right here. Just in case, again, we get that rally. If it rallies, but it doesn't quite clear me out, but it still looks like it's more rally, I'll get out, like, I'll clear this out and try to get more out of it. But, and I do keep my stop usually 2-3 ticks away just because you do get like this play and I don't want to get like I could put my stop at break even but I'm probably going to get taken out, right? So I mean, do I really want to eat a 3-tick loss? No, but I mean this is part of the game, right? You have to know like what you're comfortable with. You know that each trade is not a winner. Speaking of stats, one thing I also pay a lot of attention to is sort of win-loss ratio. And mine hovers right around 63%. I mean, so I call it 2 out of 3. It's pretty close to that. So right now we're not getting this break, but the 10 years are kind of battling here. So I have a decision to make. I could probably get filled here for a 1-tick winner, or if I wait too long, I might have to eat it. And does it suck if you take the 1-tick winner and then that's exactly when it takes off? Sure, but guess what? That's trading. Like anything can happen. So you just kind of have to be okay with knowing that sometimes, yeah, you're not going to get the best of it. Okay, at this point, I'm going to. See, it's very tempting. Okay, I'm just going to try to get this 1-tick winner and see if we can grab that. And if it flies up, so be it. I'm very cautious about putting this here. See, they're still playing right here, so if we can just get filled. So this is one where I expect it to break high. It is not breaking high. I don't really want to sit around, and I'm hoping I can just get this fill right here. Just need something to trade. Oh, there we go. Come on. There we go. So we get a one tick winner. But like I said, that size, that was 5 contracts, which is pretty standard to what I trade. I mean, sometimes I might bump it down and trade like 2 or 3. I would say no less than 3 usually. Very seldom am I trading like 10 though either. Like 5, I feel comfortable with. Like I'm okay. Like if that comes down and I'm out 450, so be it. But you have those same numbers on the upside, right? 10 contracts, it's a little harder to swallow on the Ultra Bond. I should mention that on the Ultra Bond. If I'm trading the 10 years, what I prefer is to trade something more like 10 contracts and get a little bit more, out of it. You have to remember too that the per tick unit is half over there. So trading 10 contracts on the 10 years is in tick size the same as 5 over here. It's just there's also a little bit less or a lot less volatility. So I do like the 10 years for like kind of scalping. Like I'm never looking for like a big huge run on the 10 years, but as far as trading them, I'd rather catch the big huge run on Ultra Bond. If it is just kind of goofing around, I'm more likely to trade the 10 years and just try to grab that one tick and know that it's not going to run like a maniac either direction. So I see it is almost 10, and I started at about 10 after 9. So I'll give it 10 more minutes. I already feel my voice starting to get a little raspy. So here we're getting that push up. But you know what? That's fine. Like, you also can't look back. Or, like, regret each go, oh, if I had just hung onto that trade, look at this, and honestly, I do not even remember what price I got in and out at. I could go look at it, but it doesn't matter. Like each trade is unique. That trade is done. So now we'd just be looking for a new setup and we can evaluate the situation as it is now. I could be looking for it to break high, but I remember 2 minutes ago was having a real trouble like doing anything flashy upwards. So I'm pretty hesitant. I'm glad I got my one tick, but I'm pretty hesitant to try to ride this out. And this maybe is where it breaks. Maybe it tried, and now they will actually. I mean, you have the 10 years and the 30s kind of pushing these highs. But like I said way back, like I don't like to chase trades. Like I don't want to like just keep jumping. Like I'm not an action trader. Like I'm fine, like almost doing like, okay, that was my one trade for this little bit of activity. I'll wait till it does something else, before I consider getting back in. You do have the 10 years here really kind of pushing. I have the 10 years filtered, by the way. I think it's anything over 20 contracts. Well, there's a 20 lot there. Or do I have it over 10? Or maybe, who knows? I have it set to something. So I'm not seeing all the little 1-2 lots on the 10 years, and I have it set to a bigger number. Like, I think it's 20, like 20 and above. Show me those trades. And again, you haven't once heard me, other than just now talk about this, like talk about the tape. The tape is just kind of a nice visual, like say I'm over here doing something else, well, you can't see. On my other screen doing something else, and off on the corner of my eye, I see nothing but blue over here, nothing but red. Then it's like, it quickly grabs my attention, like, okay, something's happening, like, let me check it out. I could explain, actually I can't explain, all these different colors. Like there's obviously red and blue, but then there's different shades of blue. You got nice fuchsia, you got the light blue, the dark blue. They mean different things. Every time I like look into it, it makes sense. Like, okay, that means this, that means that, but then I forget what that means, So, like I know one of the colors, I think it's like the solid bar colors mean it wiped out a level or wiped out all the contracts that were there. I could be totally wrong on this. One of the colors is like a partial order fill, whereas the other is like means their whole order was filled. It's like a bunch of stuff, and it's like information that I don't really need for what I'm doing. But just in case you were curious why there's different shades of reds and blues, and some are solid, get a ton of activity. Sometimes it's just fun to watch the 10 years. Like these are real contracts being traded, like hundreds and sometimes thousands of contracts in a trade. But you see here, they were pushing that high. I said I didn't want to jump in. They're having a bit of trouble, and here we are. So I'm not saying I called it. I hate it when people do that shit. Like, yeah, you had a 50-50 chance. It's going up or it's going down, all right? So cool your jets. If you can't tell, I have a bit of a problem with some traders who, like, are kind of know-it-alls. And I don't, if you think I'm a know-it-all, like, please, I mean, you can let me know, but I really try to not come off as a know-it-all. I try to come off as just someone who's just trying to share what they've learned over the years. And I definitely don't like think you should go trade the bonds or sign up for Jigsaw just because I do. So all of that said, what else have we got? Since we are in the last 10 minutes, let me think here. I doubt there'll be another trade to be had. I'm traded out. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, yeah, we got one tick. Is it that exciting? No, but guess what? This is trading. Actually, so these videos were a recommendation by someone a long time ago. A few people asked, like, can you just trade an entire trading session? Like 4 hours. I was like, that's kind of a long time to talk. Like, seriously, my voice is going. But so I thought, okay, an hour would be cool, and it gives you a sense of what it actually is like. So that was another, like a day in the life. Like, if you want me to record going to the dog park at 6 in the morning, I am happy to. But I think more what you're looking for was some trading action. And this is what it's like. I mean, I obviously don't sit here and talk to myself for an hour, but it's just a lot of watching and seeing what's happening, watching the ebb and flow, and then trying to jump in and grab those changes in direction, if you will. So, like, yeah, look at you can look at the Ultra Bomb, look at the 10 years. Like, we were up here just a few minutes ago, fully down here now. So then you do start asking questions, or, like, is it going to continue? Is this going to keep pushing down? Is it going to stay in this little range? Is it going to pull back? Because we saw it in the last hour. I've seen it come down and come back up. Now, it came down a little bit more violently this time. That's maybe another factor, factoring in like the pace, like how aggressive are the sellers? They seem pretty aggressive right now. They're really pounding it down. Since we're on the tail end, guys, and I do want to try to keep it to an hour, but the upcoming for me tomorrow on Wednesday is FOMC. When I was live streaming, I said I would stream then. I will try to. I know it's at 2 p.m. Eastern, which is fine. Not a time I usually trade. I might go live and we can stream it and whatever, but I don't know that I'm going to be trading it. So, I mean, watch, if anything, it'll be a wild, it's always a wild ride. So, maybe stream, I'll try to, but if I don't hold it against me. I will live stream trading sometime. But as you can tell, it can be quite boring. So, I mean, I think that's part of my hesitation, and just knowing I would get even more sucked into answering questions and not paying attention. So, but I will try to. I do like this format where I can actually talk and answer questions that you guys have, but still kind of jump in and focus on trading and not feel like I'm ignoring, people in the chat or anything like that. So I might try to. I thought about doing something like this, like once a week or something. Maybe like Monday mornings. I did mention on the live stream I had a root canal on Monday morning. Somebody commented, asked, hope they said it went okay. It went lovely. I will say, for any of you who are ever worried about a root canal, they are not nearly as bad as you would think based on kind of what people say out there. They numb you up and you quite literally just sit there for 2 hours and they go to town on you. But it's actually not a lot of drilling and grinding and stuff. Like, once they kind of get into the tooth, it's much more finesse and like a file and stuff. And it's not like horrific, there's not like stuff flying in water and stuff. Like, it's actually pretty okay. That said, would I choose to go have root canals done? No, but luckily I'm done now. But all of that to say, I would normally be doing this video on a Monday, but unfortunately at 8 a.m. on Monday this week, I had root canal. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. I'm trying to get like a little bit of a schedule going here. So maybe do something like this Monday mornings, maybe choose a time to live stream, but that's iffy. Like I said, I feel like the live streams would almost be better served as like almost like fireside, like sit around and chat and answer your questions live than trade, because at least trading like this, I can put a timestamp down below. So, all right, let's see here. Let's wrap it up. I don't think I have anything else to share, so let's just watch the last next, maybe a few minutes here and see what happens. We're getting some hot ultra bond action. Been pushed down. Imagine you went long up here and you were stubborn. This is why you're right or you're right out. Because if you were right, it would break the high. It didn't break the high, or it depends on, of course, on where you enter. But say you were up here and you're like, this is going to continue. I'm going long. You were wrong. You need to get right out, because now you'd be eating a, let's see, almost 20 tick loss. And yeah, a 20 tick loss. on the Ultra Bond, that would hurt a lot. So now you might look at this and say, hey, jump in. Jump in. The water's fine. Let's ride this down. Well, they've been riding it down pretty hard so far, so I'm not convinced it's going to continue to ride down. You might be tempted to bring up a chart and say, let's see what the VWAP says, and let's see what the moving average in the RSI is. You be my guest. I have zero interest in what those numbers are. People ask what indicators I use. I use my eyeballs. I use my eyeballs and the numbers on the screen. I can see that the sellers are completely dominating and decimating the buyers right now. If you want to, you can obviously go watch my videos, but one thing I don't think I really covered in those, I cut like the educational ones. I covered more like the setups and specifics, but you also have to factor in, and this is where it's just, you start to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. You have to really start to think about the buyers and sellers. Who are they? What's going on here? So, you do have, all the classic stuff that people talk about, like the short sellers, are stuck and they're having to bail in their positions, etc. Yeah, this stuff happens. So that's too wise. So that's why I usually like kind of the break highs. Like you have people who, I can't think, after an hour, my brain starts to turn to mush. You have people who've put in their stops, who were maybe short and then it's moving against them, so they put in a stop. They are thinking, okay, if this breaks the high, yeah, I just want out. But that's also part of why it breaks the highs, because then you have the buyers who are pushing it up and looking to break that and trigger all those stops. And it does create this little flurry of bumping up. Like, remember, about an hour ago, we were down here, and the high was 19 or 20. So they came up, broke it, pulled back, came up, broke it again. Now they're down here. So I don't need to look at a chart. Like, I've been watching. I remember what happened. So, and I'm much more interested in what's happening right now. Like, I personally don't care what happened an hour ago. I remember what happened an hour ago, but it doesn't factor into whatever my next trade might be. So, all right, guys, I'm pretty sure it has been an hour. I don't know that I have any more words of wisdom or feedback or comments. So my recommendation to you would be, if you did enjoy this video, besides giving a thumbs up, just or subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions you would like me to answer, whether it's about any of the stuff I talked about: journaling, Jigsaw, Orderflow, the Treasuries. The trader evaluation companies, again, I know I didn't mention them much at all today, but I'm pretty happy. I gotta say, out of this, I give this an 8 out of 10. I know we only got one trade. I was hoping to find, maybe 3 trades to keep people entertained. I know there's only one trade. That's why I give it a ding, but I'm pretty happy with the stuff we covered. So if you guys have questions, leave them below. And when I do this again, like I said, I'm planning on probably trying to do this Mondays. But you never know. I might get bored on Thursday and be like, screw it, there's a lot of questions. I'm going to record, do some trading, and answer some questions. So you never know when I might pop up. So yeah, put your questions down below, and I'm happy to address those. And that's basically it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you hung in for this entire hour, you deserve a special round of applause. My hat's off to you. And as I end every video, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.